this is the time. Don't wait, don't hold back, whatever it is that you're going through in life, this is now the time. We're on the cusp between our karma and our dharma, okay? There is only two reasons that we are on earth. One is to fulfill our karma, our actions, our duties, our desires. And the second is to find our dharma. And right now, a lot of us are on that cusp.
Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's conversation. You may have been watching the podcast videos, but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have ever gained value from our videos, from our conversations, it would mean so much to us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now, or even give us a like. And what that means, not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it also allows us to bring in more important guests for you to listen to, and you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's wonderful conversation. Welcome to today's episode, and with me we have the beautiful and amazing Nikita. Thank you for joining us, Nikita.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste to you. And we're going to have a wonderful conversation all about Dharma and how we can find out our Dharma and everything else. So let's start. Let's get into it a little bit. And I'd love to know about you, but also for you, what does Dharma mean personally? And how did you discover it or the significance for your life?
So I grew up a very curious child. I was born and brought up in the UK, and I remember feeling torn between cultures because my family are of Indian origin, and yet I was being brought up with British customs. And I remember really doing a lot of soul searching from a young age and reflecting and asking questions about who am I? And it was only when I was 16 years old, I decided to take the brave decision of changing my name. I actually wasn't born with the name Nikita, but for me, the name that I had previously didn't match my identity. So there was a yearning within me to want to know who I am and to want to fit into the identity that I resonated with. And after I changed my name, that's when I felt like I could do anything. It was as though I suddenly had this new persona, and with that came a newfound confidence. And when I was just 18 years old, I went to India by myself, and I ended up staying there for 10 years. And I lived there and I did soul searching, I did reflecting, I did meditation, I learned Indian classical dance and yoga. And it was only during my trip there that I started to realize about this ancient concept of Dharma.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. And you are speaking my language. We're so connected. I've also changed my name. Didn't really connect with the name I was given at birth, and spent many years, a little bit more than 18, not really, not connecting with that name, really not liking it. So then finally decided to change it. And also spent many years in India. Not quite 10, but love India. So thank you. And definitely want to get into that more. And was there any pivotal moment during your time in India that really reshaped your understanding of the purpose of life?
Yeah, it was actually when I was in an ashram in Kerala, South India, and there was a Swami there, and he was showing us a beautiful photograph of Lord Krishna. And Arjun is a warrior, and he was in a chariot, and he was at war. And he was saying to Krishna, I feel bad. How am I supposed to fight my own brothers? And Krishna said to Arjun, this is your Dharma. And I found this fascinating. Like, how can it be your dharma, as in your duty, your purpose, to fight against your own brothers if need be? But that's when I really started to go into this inquiry as to what Dharma is. And to loosely translate it, it's the reason you're here on earth. And I find this so fascinating to think that we're all here for an individual reason. Sometimes when we're just in our day-to-day lives, we are going along with the flow and we're having family and we're getting caught up in the materialistic realm. But actually, it's about stepping away from that and realizing that I'm here for a greater purpose.
Thank you. Just letting that resonate, because I agree with it so very much that we all have a unique purpose, a unique Dharma. But how can someone really begin to uncover what their Dharma is?
So, Dharma for me is an amalgamation of everything that our soul has been through. So, we all know that our soul has had multiple lives. And so, it's a real coming together. It's a beautiful culmination of all of our lives coming into one. So, it's our personality traits, it's our behaviors, it's all our belief systems, it's everything we've ever acquired finally starting to align.
It is, isn't it? Doesn't life take on an amazing role, an amazing experience when we really connect with our Dharma, when we can really tune into that? And I'm sure you've had lots of experiences with that as well.
Yeah, when I coach my clients to help them to find their Dharma, one of the things that we do is we peel back everything that they know. So it's almost a journey of unbecoming and then becoming. And it's so beautiful because it's only when we strip back the layers that we start to reveal who we really are. And it's not just in this lifetime, it's like I say, a culmination of all our lifetimes. And so the soul holds a store bank of memories, and we call this sanskars. And it's through these sanskars that we start to remember who we are. And it's a fascinating process.
It is, isn't it? Know a lot about sanskars. So thank you for sharing that. Tell us about NLP, because I know you do NLP too. And first of all, would you like to explain what NLP is for any of our listeners who may not have heard what NLP is? But what role does it play? How do we use NLP to uncover our life's purpose, our Dharma?
Yeah, so this is really exciting because I started training in NLP, known as neuro-linguistic programming. And what I started to notice was there was a lot of parallels between spirituality and NLP, in the sense that it's understanding ourselves. So neuro is our thought patterns, our brain. Linguistic is our language patterns. And then, of course, to reprogram them. And what I did is I started to create a framework whereby people could go through a process of being able to discover their Dharma through NLP. And we do that through a model called neurological levels of change. So you may have come across this pyramid whereby we start off with the environment. That's the base level. So in my workshops, in my retreats, I always get people to really explore their environment. That's their home, their work, their hobbies. Then we move up to their beliefs, their behaviors, and eventually their identity and their purpose. And it's about aligning all aspects of that and being really aware of our thought and language patterns. So earlier on, I said, a lot of the time we just go along in life and we don't really think about what we're doing or why we're doing it. This is an opportunity here to step back and say, actually, do I want this? So with environment, for example, am I living in an apartment, but actually I wish I was living in a house? Do I really want to have outdoor space? A lot of us during the COVID pandemic realized that the place we were living in wasn't serving us. And so your Dharma is about aligning all of your preferences with your personality.
It is, isn't it? And tell us, Nikita, how do you integrate your spirituality and living in this practical world, this physical world? How do you use that and how do you integrate all that to help you transform your life?
Yeah. For me, spirituality and practicality go hand in hand. They're not separate at all. Being spiritual doesn't mean that I'm going to sit on a mountain in the Himalayas for 10 hours a day, although that would be lovely to do. But actually integrating spirituality into everyday life. And the way that I do that is through my belief system. So what I have done is earlier on, I said it's about unbecoming and then becoming. So I've stripped back my own beliefs and actually gone back and looked at who gave me these beliefs. Was it my parents? Was it my teachers? Were it my friends, my siblings? And actually, what do I want to believe? And then shaping my beliefs according to spirituality. For example, everything happens for a reason. Now, this is a very popular belief, and we like to say it when it suits us, but actually really believing it and integrating it into our lifestyle. So when something doesn't go our way, we actually draw on that belief. So by setting up a whole belief system to work for me, just helps me to go through life with ease and flow.
Doesn't it? Really does, and it really does come down to our belief systems. And I love it how everything is meant to be. We really go into that because we can have some huge challenges and that are there. My personal belief is challenges are there to help us grow, and life would be pretty boring if we never had challenges.
Yes, exactly. And a pivotal moment for me was when I went through my own health challenges. So I was just 26 years old when I was diagnosed with a chronic disease. And it was quite scary because I was just a young girl. I was very spiritual. I did yoga, I meditated, I was a vegetarian. I couldn't understand why I had developed this incurable condition. And actually, I'm grateful that I did because, as you say, challenges happen for a reason. And what that did is it steered me towards the path of healing.
Yeah, and it's true. And we all have the ability to heal ourselves naturally when we allow that to happen. And I'd love to know, Nikita, in your journey, in your work, in your life, what are some other challenges that people face? Some of the biggest challenges that people have faced or may even face, especially for those who are just starting on this journey. Some of the challenges and how can they overcome it?
A lot of people think that Dharma is just career. Career is just one aspect of it. Of course, if you're lucky enough to align your Dharma with your career, then you never feel like you're working. I never ever feel like I'm working. When I run my workshops, retreats, when I'm coaching clients, I'm just showing up and I'm just being me. And it's the most beautiful, most authentic feeling. But actually, what Dharma is it's a complete experience. And so we said earlier, it's about aligning our personality with our preferences. And one of the biggest challenges that I find people have is they don't know who they are. So they don't know who they are. They don't know what their preferences are. So if I ask someone, what's your favorite color? They'll have to think about it because they don't necessarily know. They might say, actually, I like this, but then sometimes I like this. It's because they haven't taken that time to get to know themselves. That's why I'm so grateful that I'm blessed that I spent that 10 years in India, because that was my journey of really unraveling who am I. And it's very difficult. Another challenge is that people are working full time. They're in jobs that they don't necessarily enjoy. They have family, they have responsibility of children, and they're doing this work can be a bit difficult for them with all of that going on.
Yeah, it's so very true. So very true. It's that whole journey, and that's a huge challenge of living in this world and combining it with our spiritual life. making it all one, and it is a great big challenge. So thank you. And I'd love to ask you, Nikita, you've just mentioned that you've spent 10 years in India going on a journey to find out who you are. So would you like to share, if someone comes up to you and asks you, who are you? What do you tell?
Yeah. Do you know, I think it would be very clumsy for me to even attempt to answer that, because what I've come to realize is your purpose is not a sentence. It's not anything that can be defined. It's a state of being. And so me showing up, being authentic, radiating whatever it is that I'm radiating, that is me.
I love that. So much when people are asked who are they, go into their role, their job, whether it's being a mother or whatever it is, or a teacher or anything. But I love that, just being and radiating whatever it is that you're radiating. Love that. Thank you so much.
And exactly the same way that you're radiating who you are.
And it's true. Thank you for that. And what about for other people? Would you like to share any examples of how you help other people to reignite that hope, that confidence in their life, especially for people who are feeling a bit lost and don't know what their purpose is?
One of the things that I love doing is asking people, what did you enjoy doing as a child? Because that gives away a lot of clues as to what you naturally are good at. And I've had somebody recently who said, do you know, when I was a child, I used to write stories. I haven't picked up a pen and paper for about 40 years. And I said, why don't we do that? Let's start with that. And now you can't stop her from writing. And so it's about going back and thinking, because when we're children, we can't pretend. We are just the way we naturally are. And so it's about going back to doing things that you used to love doing. What lights you up from within? When you're in your Dharma, you're lit up.
You are. And it shows. It really shows, because you're living on your purpose. Your purpose in it, and that brings joy and happiness. And we see it all the time. I know you would, I do, everywhere. When someone isn't living on their purpose, they're certainly not radiating joy and happiness.
Yeah. And so it could be hobbies, as I just said, going back to your childhood, doing things. Somebody says, I love swimming, yet I never go swimming. Why not? Oh, because I can't afford a gym membership. That's a limiting belief. That's when we start to go into your beliefs, and let's see what we can do to ensure that you can do what you love doing. And so it's just about making some lifestyle changes to support you on your path.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Can I just take a moment, Nikita, just to honor you, really, truly honor you, because there are so many people in the world who are lost, they're in that 9 to 5 grind. They may be in a corporate world or any type of world, any type of work, and just feeling so bogged down with it and not happy. Where you're two things, you're radiating your joy and your Dharma, your purpose, and that brings a shine to the world that's radiating out into the world. So that's helping the world so very much. So I'd like to honor you for that. And also honor you for helping others, to show them, to guide them on what their purpose is, what their Dharma is. So just thank you for being authentic. Thank you for being you, truly.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Not a problem. And let's talk about the universe and the signs that the universe gives us. How do the signs and the nudges from the universe play a role in our own self-discovery journey?
Every day, the universe is working for us. And it's amazing how we go along and we don't necessarily listen to our soul's calling, or we don't follow the signs. And the universe will keep nudging until eventually it will just sometimes need to shake us. That's what had to happen to me when I had my health scare. Unfortunately, I wasn't listening to the signs before that. And so I had to go through something quite major. And so when we are in alignment with ourselves, we then step into alignment and flow with the universe. And when we're in that state of flow, everything just becomes effortless. You mentioned how people are struggling and they feel lost. It's because they're stuck in their minds. It's the mind that's keeping us stuck. And actually, when we step out of the mind and we start to open up all of our energy channels, we step into this beautiful state of flow and everything just starts to unfold. It sounds very simplistic, but I've seen amazing results in people that have started this process, and they've seen miracles come into their lives as a result.
That can happen. I've experienced that too. So yes. And tell us more. You're talking about stepping into alignment with the universe. And I know you've mentioned to go back and do things that we used to enjoy doing in childhood. But what are some practical steps that we can take on a daily basis to align ourselves with our purpose, especially for people that are caught up in that so-called 9-to-5 grind, and they may even have children, and it's, I never have time for myself.
Yes.
What are some real practical steps people can take?
If people can only do one thing a day, I advise them to do meditation. Meditation is the equivalent of medication. It is so powerful. And I mentioned stepping out of ourselves, and meditation is a tool to be able to do that. So even if you're really busy throughout the day, before you go to bed or first thing in the morning or on your lunch break at work, whenever you can, and it doesn't need to be very long, it could just be 5 to 10 minutes, sit with yourself, be in that state where you can get out of the mind. And the first few times you do it, your mind will be wandering. That's normal. That's okay. Let it. But the main thing is you set that intention and you keep showing up and you keep practicing. And the more you do that, the more the mind will start to train and it will start to listen and it will just allow you to just be in that space. And then you step out of yourself and you realize, wow, I'm not just this. I'm so much more. It's an amazing feeling.
I totally agree with you, especially when you go deep into that meditation. And yes, it does take a little while when you've been caught up in this world. The mind's just not going to quieten down like that. But with a little bit of practice and the consistency, the intention, then you can have some incredible experiences. And if I can share, because we're talking about meditation, one of the things that I learned actually in India was this practice that I call traffic control. And when I talk to people and so they say, I don't have time to meditate. And I say, do you have time to go to the toilet? Best time to meditate, just for 60 seconds throughout the day.
Yeah.
And it's like holding the reins of this wild horse. Or what I have practiced when I finish something, a task, before I start the next one, I just stop and breathe and connect.
Yeah. I love that. Moments of pause and actually integrating it into the day rather than thinking it's a big task that I have to do as a standalone. That's great.
Yes, if you think about, I've got to meditate for an hour, it never happens.
No.
30 minutes in today's world don't happen. I don't have 30 minutes, but we've all got 30 seconds.
Yes.
We can stop for 30 seconds, we can stop for 60 seconds, and then slowly build. So yeah, thank you. You've just given me goosebumps. I think that's a sign to come. And now, what about modern technology? I mean, we live in this, again, crazy world. Everyone has devices. Everyone has some type of devices. And a lot of people like myself have numerous. How does modern technology impact for you our ability to connect with ourselves and others in a meaningful way, not just in a superficial, but really to connect?
I actually think it's a very positive thing. I think it's fantastic that we've got everything at our fingertips. The fact that right now I'm sitting in London and you're in the other side of the world and we're doing this podcast is absolutely phenomenal. And I feel very grateful to be alive in this era, actually. But I think technology can help accelerate our spiritual journey because there's no excuse anymore. When I wanted to have spiritual experiences, I had to go to India for 10 years and stay in an ashram. Now we can just go onto YouTube and play a guided meditation. If you're waiting for your child at a ballet class, rather than sitting and just talking to the other mums, why don't you just sit by yourself and put your headphones in and listen to a 10-minute meditation? There's so much that you could be doing. We could be reading, researching. We could read things from the Bhagavad Gita, for example, just on our phones. We can listen to podcasts. There's so much we can do with technology. And you mentioned about connecting with other people. If you think of somebody, a family member or a friend, it doesn't matter where they are in the world, we can just straight away send them a message. It's a beautiful thing. I think it's fantastic. But of course, everything's about intention. It depends what intention we use it with.
Yes, it doesn't totally. And that is the thing, that's the intention. And thank you for sharing. I agree. Technology can take us away from ourselves because we're so much caught up in computers and take us away from those deep connections if we allow it, but it can also bring it back because we use the technology. It's just another tool, just like meditation. It's another tool that we have to balance with. So love to know, let's go a little bit deeper, because in reading your bio and everything else, you mentioned about this thing about embracing our magnificence. And I love that. Reminds me, I read a book by who I'm sure, Anita Majani.
Yeah.
And one of her quotes is, remember your magnificence. Yeah. So tell us about that. How does the concept of embracing our magnificence align with discovering our Dharma?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that Dharma is an amalgamation of everything that we have. So it's our personality traits, it's our behaviors, it's our unique quirks, it's also our talents and our strengths. And one thing that I get people to identify is that everything that we do is there for a reason. So even things that you might be annoyed by, you might not like about yourself, is actually there for a reason. It's there to serve you. And so it's looking at everything with a positive light. So identifying your talents, your strengths, the things that you're naturally good at. And this is where people are very modest and they're like, I'm not good at anything. Or they think you have to be able to play a musical instrument or sing in order to have a talent. It's about being more subtle. If you can open the fridge and make anything out of lots of different ingredients, that's a talent, that's a skill. So it's about identifying what am I actually really naturally good at without having to try. Am I a good listener? Am I curious? What are my unique strengths? And when we start to put all of those together, it creates your magnificence.
That's awesome. Really love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for being a guest on our pathways to well-being. Love to know a little bit more about how you can actually help people, because you are in London, but we live in a world of technology, so people can connect with you from all over the world.
Yeah, I've written a book and I've published it known as Meditation Through Poetry. And I've been writing poetry since I was a child. And so it felt right for me to share. Again, it's another part of my personality. And I wanted to be able to use that as a tool for people to connect with themselves. So one way that I invite our listeners and viewers to connect with me is through my book, which you can find on my website. So it's Journey with Nikita. I'd love to connect with people on social media as well. I have lots of free guided meditation recordings that you can download and listen to. I also have a fun Dharma quiz. If you want to know if you're how much you're in alignment with your Dharma, then you can go onto my website and access a Dharma quiz. But I'm really grateful for this opportunity to be here, and I love coaching people all over the world. I run workshops and retreats, and it's really my Dharma to help people find their Dharma.
Thank you. And again, thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing that. Plus, not only are you an author and a teacher and a coach, helping people find their Dharma, you're also a dancer.
Yes.
So how can people see your dancing, especially for anyone who's living in London, but even online? Can they see you
Yeah.
dancing online?
Yeah, again on my social media channels and my website journeywithnikita.com. I'm trained in Indian classical dance. It's a very ancient form. It's at least 5,000 years old. But now I'm more into the mindfulness side of dance, and I incorporate chakras into my movement as well. So again, I do workshops online so people can have that experience of connecting to themselves, whether they do it through writing, poetry, dance, yoga. For me, they're all different modalities to the same pathway. It's all about finding your true self. The time has come. We're living in such an exciting time in history. I'm so blessed to be here and to share this with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I agree with you. We are living in a very exciting time. So absolutely, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you more. And also through your dance, like you said, and aligning with the chakras and everything else. One of the things that I've experienced with technology, and I know I'm not the only one, is if you're not careful, if you don't balance that, we sit so much that everything gets stuck. And it's so important to move. So Nikita, you're the embodiment, you radiate the effects of being able to move and align your chakras or unblock all the chakras through movement. So thank you. I'm definitely going to be checking out your website and your social media, because we are on the other side of the world. Unfortunately, I can't come to see you in person. But
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure the opportunity will come. Perhaps we'll meet.
hopefully we will. You never know what the universe can bring, but definitely meeting online. And I've really enjoyed meeting you here. And for everyone who is listening or watching, do click on the links below and connect with Nikita, even if it's just for a chat, even if it's just to watch her dance, especially to move and open up to unblock all our chakras. So Nikita, before we finish up, is there anything else that you would like to mention, or is there anything else that I could have asked you?
I think the main thing I want everyone to know is that this is the time. Don't wait. Don't hold back. Whatever it is that you're going through in life, this is now the time. We're on the cusp between our karma and our dharma. Okay? There is only two reasons that we are on earth. One is to fulfill our karma, our actions, our duties, our desires. And the second is to find our dharma. And right now, a lot of us are on that cusp. We're on that point in the middle. You can call it a crossroads, you can call it a pivotal time, whatever you want to call it, but we're in that middle bit. And this is the time, it's like a bridge for you to cross over and to enter that final bit. And I promise you, what's on the other side is bliss. And I know it feels like the world is in a very dark place, but we are the light. We're going to bring light. And I just want everyone to know that we're all here together. And I feel very lucky and very fortunate to be on this journey with you all.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm also very fortunate to be on the journey with you, because you certainly do bring your radiance to the world. Absolutely. And helping to heal the world in such a big way, one person at a time, but that just radiates out. The ripple effect, incredible. So thank you, Nikita. Thank you so very much for joining us today. And I look forward to connecting with you again.
Namaste.